in my opinion, networking is huge when it comes to, especially in multifamily, because it's all about teams and who you know. There was so many, there's three deals that came out of just networking, just talking to people and just being out there as much as possible.
Welcome to the Healthy Investor Podcast with Bob Mastriani, where you and I will learn from successful real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and other highly driven individuals about their journey and the healthy habits and routines that play an integral part of their growth. All right, welcome back to the Healthy Investor Podcast. I am your host, Bob Mastriani. Today, I have with me Vlad Arakcheyev. He's an active investor, co-sponsor, and JV partner in 500 plus multifamily units, land development amounting to a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Vlad is in charge of Zotnik Ventures, operations and assets management. He is a member of the National Real Estate Investor Network. He has extensive experience in sales and marketing for residential and commercial real estate, and has been leading direct marketing efforts as well as acquisitions and disposition efforts relating to investments in distressed and off-market properties. Vlad is also a licensed agent in New Jersey, serving his customers and investors, and I'm really glad to have him on today. So Vlad, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Vlad. So let's just start with, so you and I have known each other for a little over a year, both part of the Jake and Gino and community and Wheelbarrow Profits community. And one of the things that I know about you before we even really get into your whole story is that, as I mentioned to you before we started, you're sort of a networking machine. If there's an event happening, if there's a Zoom, if there's something going on, it seems like you've been a part of everything. So maybe you could talk just a little bit about what brought you to networking so much and how that has contributed to your success so far.
Sure, yeah. It's in my opinion, networking is huge when it comes to, especially in multifamily, because it's all about teams and who you know. There was so many, there's three deals that came out of just networking, just talking to people and just being out there as much as possible. Just saying, hey, listen, I buy in Kansas City. I look in the Carolinas. And somebody's like, oh, I look in Carolinas too. Well, let's partner up together. What do you do? What do you do? And that's exactly how several deals happen. So my goal is to be out there as much as possible. And also how it started is I was a graphic designer. And I did that all my life and decided to do a complete 180 and move to real estate. And in order to completely differentiate myself from graphic design and be a real estate professional, I had to put myself out there so much so everybody would know that I love real estate, I am in real estate, and I know things that people can ask me a question and I can respond. Or at least if I don't know, I'll make a connection to somebody who does. So that's why my goal is to be as out there as much as possible so people would just forget about the graphic design part and know me as a realtor first in New Jersey and a multifamily investor, of course. So that's why I'm trying to be out there as much as possible.
Well, that's interesting that you said that because, you know, sometimes we talk even when we speak about mindset, right? It's how do you perceive yourself and how do others perceive you? And, you know, Vlad is a real estate investor. Vlad is a real estate agent. And that's how I know you. And that's how so many others know you. How long has it been since you decided to make that change from graphic designer into the real estate business?
Yeah, I since COVID, I slowly started transitioning. So when I resigned from my W-2, that was not this December, but last December. So it's a year and I don't know, a few
About a
months.
year and a half. Okay.
Yeah, and that's when I consider myself 100% seriously focused on real estate. that I decided this is my life and this is my future. So I would say a year and a half. Before that, I was kind of trying it out and seeing, let me try, see how it works. And you know what? In my opinion, it didn't work. I didn't see huge progress. I didn't see huge acceleration because when you try, you really don't succeed. You just have
Hmm.
to do. You have to commit 100% into it, and then you will see success happening. If you're gonna see, well, maybe I should go to a couple events. No, go to events all the time. When I started, I used to go to 4 local events here in New Jersey, 4 per week. So pretty much every single day, I used to go, up to an hour away from me, to wholesaling events, realtor events, flipper events, uh, lending events, anyone. So I can make a connection, so I can see, like, for example, hey, listen, I'm a wholesaler. Are you an end buyer? Sure. There we go.
Hmm.
I can sell you a house. So that's exactly how I started. And then now with multifamily, there are still some multifamily events here in New Jersey, but not that many. So I noticed, and since my market is Texas, Kansas City, I try to go to obviously virtual events, and there's been so many. I try to go to, and you're gonna laugh, 3 to 4 per day, maybe more.
Wow.
Yeah, anytime from 9 a.m. I pretty much block out a lot of my day where I still prospect, I still call, I still message brokers, direct to seller. I have like a 2 hour window. All other ones are prospecting to investors, to potential investors, because I also raise capital for syndications. And everything else is just networking. Just put my name out there and being, in front of everybody, annoying them, I guess.
That's excellent. So how did you create your schedule? What was that just sort of based out of need, or was that based out of seeing when events are and knowing, you know, what you wanted to get to versus also making sure that you wanted to take care of your key performance indicators and all of that?
Right, yeah. So before I was not structured at all.
Okay.
And that was my biggest issue where I was just all over the place. And there were days, oh, it's okay. I'm not going to call today. I'm not going to follow up with brokers. And I'm like, but I'm still doing something, right?
Hmm.
Wrong. That's completely incorrect. So I was busy for the sake of being busy. It did not produce the results that I was going for. So what I've done is I took a yearly plan where I have to be in a year, and I counted backwards how many calls I have to make, how many brokers I have to speak with, how many messages I have to send. That the stuff that actually produces results, that produces money. And I worked myself backwards, dividing it by monthly, weekly, and daily basis. And I blocked parts of my calendar that, for example, for 2 hours, nobody can reach me.
Hmm.
Absolutely. All I'm doing is literally following up with brokers, or going direct to seller, or calling, let's say, uh, lenders, just developing, working on relationships, things that produce results. Not being busy for the sake of being busy, but being busy because these are the most important things that I have to do. And everything around there is networking, um, working out, of course, because you
Hmm.
have to have clear mind and clear head when you do that. So yeah, I read a lot of books, webinars, and podcasts on blocking certain times where you have to be really focused on things that produce the most results.
That's excellent to hear you say that, and I think for many of us, especially in this industry, I think you said the right thing, and we all sort of fall into that trap a little bit of, am I busy for the sake of being busy, or am I busy doing the things that are going to bring value and bring the best use of my time? So good for you for being able to figure out what those things are and sticking to that schedule. Just out of curiosity, from your graphic design business to your real estate business, are there things that carried over? Are there skill sets that you had acquired that are now serving you well in the real estate side of your business?
You know, the funny thing is, I'm reading OMs and I'm noticing all the mistakes, all the run-on sentences, and because I used to work with colors and things like that, and I see all these color changes and variations, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks so ugly. And like, for example, if you look from one page to another page, if I see misalignment, I notice it right away. I'm like, you see these lines are not aligned. They should be. Like, one face is grayscale, another one's in color, and I'm like, "Oh my God, look, it should be all the same. Why didn't they change it? Should I make a comment about it or something? I mean, come on." So it's more of a things that are inconsistent, for example, stuff like that. Or one thing when I notice websites, I want everything to be the same. I'm kind
Mm,
of I'm so paranoid when it comes to people notice these things,
yeah.
like spacing between text and between pictures and text, and leading, anything anything to do with visual or graphic arts, I notice right away, but it just pops up because I've been doing it for 15 years. So as soon as I see, any some sort of documentation or something like that, that kind of the first thing that pops into into my eyes. I'm like, whoa, we should.
Have you implemented any graphic design for your business, any websites, or I see your logo in the background there. Have you designed all that yourself?
I tried, yeah. I kind of did a sketch. I didn't know exactly. I knew I had an idea, but I didn't know exactly what I was going for. And that's one of the things that it did not produce the results I was going for. I didn't want to waste time on creating this thing because it might take, I don't know, 4 hours. In 4 hours, I could be calling brokers or I could be calling sellers. So I actually gave it to somebody else on Fiverr. I found somebody, and she did a great job for me. But yeah, when it comes to websites, I have a person, he created the website, and then I don't want to sound mean, but I pretty much tore the thing up, and I'm like, you have to
that's
redo this
that's
thing.
kind of where I was ready to go with that, because I'm
Yeah,
sure you were
and
overseeing the process.
he goes, "Those are really extensive changes. I'm gonna have to charge you extra." I'm like, "I'll pay extra, but because you're changing pretty much everything there." And I was very, very picky when it comes to lines and colors and everything, the flow of text. I'm like, "You need to make these changes, so because I need to sleep better."
That's great. So, what are you working on now? What type of properties are you looking for? What areas are you looking for?
Yeah, right now I'm focused only on multifamily, large multifamily, 20 doors and up. My primary areas of focus is Dallas, Houston. I'll look in San Antonio as well. Secondary market is Kansas City and the Carolinas. And I have properties in all those markets. One of the deals that we just closed and I helped uh, raise capital for is 120 doors in South Dallas,
Mm.
and we literally closed last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I was really, really happy to work with very experienced operator, and just to see how the deal is done. And it was a complete total success. We raised a little over 8 million in, I would say, 3 weeks.
Wow.
Not me personally, but
Sure. The whole
there were
team.
other capital raisers. Team is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deal was great, and I even though it's Q1 right now, it's March, so it's tax season. It's not that it's not that easy to raise capital, especially with what's happening in the politics, banks failing. So a lot of people are scared, but when they see a good deal, it's a good deal. They see a team, they see great returns, they see great market, people jump all over it. So I think it was a total success.
So for your business, did you decide to choose your markets first, or did you find teams and operators and then go to their markets? Obviously, you're in New York, correct?
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey,
New Jersey. Okay.
about 8 miles from New York City. I used to live in New York and Brooklyn. I picked markets first,
Okay.
and then after that, I started just speaking with people. I didn't even pick a team. I just talked to people because I heard all these horror stories where, oh my God, somebody just freaked out and left, and the deal went sideways, or somebody's not working, and I'm doing everything. So I'm like, hey, listen, I need to vet people.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked my market, and then I immediately connected with a bunch of Jake and Gino members that are in that market, like, um, Tony, Jen, Jeff, Shariah, all these great operators that work in that market. And I started speaking with them, and I know them for, I would say, over a year. And that's how I started to do deals with them. So
Okay.
yeah, I picked the market, then the team, and I worked with only two teams. That's it. Just two teams, and I know them for a long time. I don't spread myself around and just work with everybody. I'm very focused on a team, on a market, and on a deal. Very paranoid that the deal has to be good. And you're gonna laugh, but my coach is Bill Ham. So he goes like this: instead of making the deal work, try to kill the deal. If you cannot kill it, then you in it.
Yes.
So we putting all these crazy assumptions in the model, just everything, trying to kill it as much as we can. And this deal we cannot kill. We're like, let's go, we're in it. So
You're right. I am going to laugh a little bit because I've had a few coaching calls with Bill Ham myself, and I think I align with that mentality. Sometimes as I've transitioned from smaller multifamily into looking for larger multifamily, sometimes I wonder, am I being too picky? Because I'm like, you know, I feel like I can often find a reason that the deal is not a great deal. And then the other side of me knows that don't get a deal just for the sake of getting a deal, right? It has to be a
yeah.
good deal. It has to work. It has to fit my parameters. It has to, pass the sniff test, if you will.
Yeah, if you lose your own capital, yeah, you'll cry about it. But the worst thing you can do is lose your investors' money. That's just awful. So you have to be 150% sure that the deal will work. So especially now, so safest markets, safest deals, forget about buying a lot, just buy well, buy right, and make sure to run the thing correctly. So that's another huge point.
That's great info. Excellent. So I want to transition over. This is the Healthy Investor podcast. And I like to speak with investors, entrepreneurs, people like yourself who are, successful, and talk about any healthy habits or routines that are a part of your life. And then also, how do they contribute? How do you feel that they contribute to your business and personal success?
Yeah, those are huge. I was, when I started, I'm like, I'm just gonna go with the flow, educate myself, but I was getting burnt out. I felt myself literally like not sleeping,
Hmm.
uh, losing deals, losing opportunities, forgetting people's names, like forgetting things to connect, the dots together. Started reading books on healthy eating, on meditation, on exercising, focusing. Mental health is everything here. So you have to pace yourself. I know you want to do everything, but at the same time, you have to take care of yourself, your body, and your mind, because your mind controls everything. Like, I was getting pains in my back for no reason. And I'm like, oh my God, why am I hurting? I'm not really doing anything.
Hmm.
But my mind is telling me that I'm struggling with something. So right now, every morning from 9 to 10, I'm exercising. No calls. I'm not checking email, nothing at all. So up until pretty much 10 a.m. Eastern time, it's impossible to get ahead of me, or very, very difficult, because in the morning I have kids time until I drop them off at school. Then I'm exercising. when I'm doing exercises, I like to do yoga. I think it's relaxing. You have to kind of focus and prepare your mind and body for the day. I do HIIT exercises, and also I do like lightweight lifting. I'm not, trying to bulk up or anything. Just trying to be healthy. And also, all the way throughout the day, I get up, I walk around, I stretch, I do things to kind of circulate, everything within me.
Mhm.
Also, one big thing that I noticed is healthy eating. And that helped me a lot as well. I started doing intermittent fasting, and also just fast for a day or two, just kind of cleanse my body of all this negativity and all this food or maybe alcohol that you might consume, or I might consume. But yeah, it definitely helps to focus and keep your mind sharp. And I noticed a huge change where I'm focusing more, I'm being more productive in less amount of time. So instead of working for 12 hours, I don't need that. I can work for 8 hours and be more productive. And now I'm reading this book called 12-Week Year, where I'm trying to have a whole year and combine it in just 12 weeks. And I believe I can do it with right food, exercising, and being focused on a task that you need to do. That's very important, I think.
I love that a couple of things that you spoke about there. I have to agree with you that mental health and the mental part of this game is so important. If you can, I've often said that when I first found meditation, I didn't realize the impact that it would have on my life. And the biggest impact that it has on my life, I believe, is how I react. So we don't know what's going to happen to us throughout the day, right? You don't know what obstacles may come up, and but how I react to those things when my mind is clear and when my mind has spent specific time to focus, I believe is much better. I also love that you set aside specific time that you're going to work out. I'm going to work out from 9 to 10, and that has become sort of a non-negotiable for you, right? That's your time, whatever the workout is. If it's going to be a HIIT training, it's going to be a yoga training, whatever you've decided that day is going to be, but that's become a non-negotiable for you. And then you mentioned intermittent fasting, which is also something that I believe in. I've never done a extended fast, so maybe you've piqued my interest a little bit there. But it's interesting to me, intermittent fasting. I think oftentimes people hear the term intermittent fasting and they think fast and they think, oh, I can't go a long time without eating. But the reality is, for me, I eat dinner probably around 4:30, 5 o'clock every day. Okay. So in my intermittent fasting is that I can eat for 8 hours and then I don't eat for 16 hours. Essentially, I just don't eat after dinner. And then I have breakfast at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's not as much of a struggle as I thought it would be. And it's not even as much of a sacrifice as I thought it would be. But the benefits are that I sleep better, I rest better, I feel better when I wake up in the morning. I was a fourth meal person, right? We've all heard of the fourth meal, right? It's like, you do something in the evening and then it's 8:30, 9 o'clock, and you're like, oh, let's grab something to eat before we head home.
Yeah,
And cutting that out has made such a drastic impact.
of course.
So
Yeah, snacks and everything. It's kind of not necessary.
yeah. So what impact do you feel that those things have had on your business?
Well, number one, I'm not running around and like, oh yeah, I need food. Oh, I need this. I have to have this. I'm not gonna like be able to perform. Absolutely not. You don't need it. Your day just flows.
Hmm.
You have an even flow. You don't have these sudden jumps. Like, for example, when you eat, you sit down and you're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Your body is trying to digest this huge meal that you're having. So obviously you're not working. Then you might crash. So you're all over the place. With even with normal meals, normal size, and fasting, and just having him kind of spread out, and then just you don't have to eat for the rest of the day. You don't have these jumps. I have coffee. Sure, I drink 2 cups of black coffee, no problem. It's totally okay. I do drink a lot of water though.
Yeah.
You have to have that. And also I started, you're gonna laugh, but you might find this interesting. So my wife Olga is into health as well, and she started reading these books where your gut controls your whole body, your mind, and everything, your mood. So if you read all these books, and science basically says that your gut bacteria controls your mood,
Mm.
controls if you a loving person, if you're an angry person, if you're all over the place. So basically your gut controls your mind. So she started making these yogurts that not from a store, because yogurt in the store is, it's no big deal. It's filled with sugar and colorants and all these additives.
Over
So she's
processed. Yeah.
making, yeah, she's making her own yogurt for 30 hours. Yeah, it takes that long. And yeah, I know, I'm blown away by it. So we basically trying to take care of our gut so it's gonna take care of us. And we noticed a huge change where you have so much energy. Like you can get up at 2 in the morning and you're not sleepy. You can function completely perfectly okay. So taking care of yourself is huge. It's huge because ultimately we're all in this business to have wealth, which is time. So if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're crashing all over the place and you're not, then what's the point of it, right? We're here to be healthy, to be successful, and be happy. So that's what it's all about.
I love it. Great. So I want to be mindful of your time, and I want to make sure that we move on to the final segment where I ask the same 3 questions of every one of my guests. So for you, Vlad, what is your definition of success?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definition of success is time. It's not money. I mean, it my true success. I'll be truly successful when I want to do stuff at any, like, I don't have to think about anything. If I want to go somewhere, I go. If I want to fly somewhere, I just fly. That time is when I have total freedom of time, then I'll be truly successful.
I love that. And just backing up, to the previous part of our conversation, you said, I think your quote was, wealth is time.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a truism that most people don't realize. And, in our circle of friends, in our circle of, friends and colleagues and people that we network with, I think that's really well understood. But I think to many people, when we say time is money, that really comes down to them thinking specific dollar amounts. But the truth is that the biggest reason we're doing any of this is to create freedom, the freedom of time to do what you want, when you want, where you want it. So great answer. Question number 2. So for someone who's newer to investing or even just learning to focus on their own goals and their path to success, do you have a good book recommendation?
Yes, right now I'm actually doing 2 books. Very first book that I like to recommend, especially for new investors, or actually for anybody, is One Thing by Gary Keller.
Hmm.
A lot of people are being just busy and they're like, oh my God, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so busy. No, no, but is that thing what you're busy on? Is it really producing results? So that book teaches you to focus on this one thing that is the most important to in your business. So I read this book twice, and I have to read it, I don't know, every 6 months, just to kind of refresh. Every time I read, I find something new that, it benefits me. So One Thing by Gary Keller, and the second one is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Hmm.
So we negotiate every day. I think he says we negotiate 5 times a day. In my case, I negotiate more because I got 2 small kids. I negotiate constantly. So, and he teaches the right way to ask a question and to actively listen to an answer. In many cases, we just ask a question for the sake of asking a question, but do we really ask the right question? And also, do we listen for an answer? Does it really get us what we're asking for? In many cases, no. So in this book, he's teaching the correct way of asking a question to get the answer that you truly, really need. And he was a FBI negotiator, and now he has classes. And he's an awesome, I think, presenter and great teacher. I really like the way he just kind of teaches and presents the material. It's very easy. There's no complication. He goes, just repeat it. Just repeat it 60 times. Just repeat this 60 times and you'll get it. It'll be like second nature to you. And I'm like, okay, let's go. So I'm walking around practicing it on everybody, including my wife. And she's like, could you stop practicing on me? So that really great book. Never Split the Difference. Try it out.
I wrote that one down as you were speaking. I have a pretty significant library of books over on that side of the room there, but that is one that I have not read yet. So I'll make sure to check it out. You know, it's interesting. A little earlier in our conversation, when you were talking about your time blocking, it actually reminded me of the book, The One Thing. And I was like, man, I wonder if you ever read the book, The One Thing. So
Yeah.
you definitely touched on it. I was thinking of, I may have an older edition of the book, The One Thing, but it used to come with a door hanger in the back of the book. And it's almost like one of those do not disturb door hangers. And you can hang it on your office door and it says, do not disturb. I'm focusing on my one thing.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that was in the back of the book. So before we move on to the final question, thank you again for coming on. This has been a lot of fun for me, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to share your knowledge with us. How can we support you, and how can people reach out and contact you?
Yeah, I'm all over social media. My name is, not the easiest to spell, but it's very unique. Vlad Arakcheyev. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Instagramming. I started to do TikToking. I'm not even sure what I'm doing on there, but I'm TikToking, and I'm working on my YouTube right now. So yeah, check out my website, zantikventures.com. And of course, reach out on social media. I'm very happy to chat with anybody, just to kind of give back, because I've been given so much by this community, and I feel I'm very blessed. And I just want to pay it back to people that want to take advantage of this opportunity of multifamily and go and and invest with us and see the potential and the power of real estate. And that's what I'm just trying to just spread the word.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So final question, if you can think back with me to a young Vlad around the ages of 10 to 12 years old, knowing what you've learned so far on your journey, what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to that young Vlad, or really any pre-teenage child, to help guide them towards success?
Oh yeah, I would just take my PlayStation and throw it out the window. But seriously, I would just tell them to focus, really focus, and know what you I know 13 might I be all over the place, but if you focus on one thing that really is, let's say, will bring you results on something. I always wanted to be, let's say, in the finance, because I'm like, you have to make money with them. You have to be where the money is, and that's like Wall Street, for example. But I see those people, they're not really lasting that long. So I would educate myself. I would be like, hey, listen, focus on one thing, forget about everything else, make sure you do, and also be just a good person, be a good human. And I'm not very spiritual or anything, but if you do good things for others, it will come back to you. So just be a good person, be fun, of course, at the same time focus and just be good. That's all. It,
Excellent. Excellent.
I wouldn't overcomplicate because I'm just thinking back, what did I do when I was 13? Hui.
You don't have to tell us any stories that you don't want to share.
No.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Vlad, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Make sure you touch base with him on all the social medias and his business, Zontic Ventures. Go out there and make it a great day. Thanks so much for joining me on the Healthy Investor Podcast. Check out the show notes for more information about connecting with our guest. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please head on over to iTunes and leave a positive rating and review. It would mean the world to me. I'm grateful for your support, and I wish you an abundance of success on your journey to healthy investments and a healthy life.